So this 2009 Suzuki SX4 was having this horrible vibration every time you get on throttle, and we were suspecting it was the front engine mount, but it was actually being jacked right there on this transverse mount multiple times.
No, longitudinal mount.
The longitudinal mount being jacked there for an oil change or whatever multiple times. I mean, look, it's pushing up against the transmission now, so it's just vibrating against the transmission was the problem. But if you wanted to do the front engine mount, it's a pain in the ass.
And here's why. Okay, you can see an engine mount and a bracket. The white label is the new engine mount.
Right there.
Here's what the engine mount looks like. Okay. It's got this one bolt that goes through from the driver's side toward the passenger side, and it has to line up in that bracket. And it's got these two studs that go down through that longitudinal mount, the one that's been bent underneath.
Straight down.
Yeah,
Straight
but
down.
as we're going to show you in a minute, this bolt is nearly inaccessible down there, so you have to go through hell to get at that one. This one's easy to get at, and so it was hell getting that off. We got the old motor mount out.
Swivel sockets for those.
And then, because you're putting it back in, the motor mount wants to be a little bit this way, a little bit this way, a little bit this way. You have to actually loosen the bracket on the motor. See that bracket?
The outer bracket, the outside bracket, the one that the mount fits into.
Yep, so this bracket right here has a bolt directly underneath the plate that I'm touching. And it has another bolt, which they strategically placed right above this motor mount down here. But it comes in so that, once again, let me demonstrate on this. That bolt, instead of being here where you can get at it, is here naturally. So you're going to need a swivel socket for that to get in there, just like that, to get in there to get that.
And there's 3 bolts, and they're all 14.
And so we did those 2, and it still wouldn't move. And believe it or not, the third one is not as bad as it looks, but also needs a wobble socket. It's outside the bracket, behind the intake manifold. And oddly enough, unlike everything else in this car, there's actually room to get your hand in there. So watch me put my hand down in here, and I'm touching that bolt. So at this point, we've got all bolts engaged, and I've just hand tightened the first one, which is this third bolt down here on the engine bracket. Now I'm going to get under there and retighten the bolt right underneath this plate and use the wobble socket to get down here and get the bottom bolt. Then this bracket will be tight on the motor again. Then I'll tighten the one bolt that goes through the motor mount.
And that was all for that one bolt, because it wasn't actually, it'd get through the mount, the bracket and the first part of the bracket and the mount, but
and
not
since,
the end.
Since we've already bent that longitudinal mount, I'm going to get back under there and either, you know what, I'll just hook the engine hoist up again and lift the engine again. And by the way, look at that motor mount over there. I've loosened the bolts on this motor mount so I can get up about ½ an inch there, just getting every bit of motion I can. We'll show you down there below why you need to lift that longitudinal mount to get access to the forward nut on this piece of shit. And once all that happens, then we'll desperately try to put the bolts down. If you can see, there's 2 bolts for that longitudinal mount, which is right now loose. We're able to lift that longitudinal mount off the core. It's not a core support, it's the front crossbar of the subframe. So I took the bolts out from the bottom. No, the bolts go down from the top on this piece of shit. And there's some rubber gaskets. I don't know if you can see that this one rubber gasket is out of place right now. See my finger? So we have to get that back in place. The other one's kind of in place. But every single step of this thing is a total struggle.